broken again. Complete failure. I hadn't compensated for the extra length of board that I would need because the blade was at 45 degrees. Plus, I hadn't compensated for the thickness of the board since I glued those 2 1/2-inch pieces of plywood together. And those two things together just didn't allow me enough length on the board when I cut it at the 45-degree angle. So this is just completely useless. So I thought, okay, fine. I learned a lesson. I'll just quickly make another one off camera, and I'll pick it up from where I left off. So I made this one. I just used single piece of 1/2-inch plywood rather than trying to double up. I had doubled it up because it had a bit of a bow in it, and I wanted to sort of squish them together and compensate for that. But I found other piece of plywood that didn't have a bow in it, so it's like, okay, great. But after I made this one, I realized that it just wasn't sliding properly in the slots, and I discovered after the fact that this runner had a bit of a bow in it, and therefore it was like loose in some spots and it was tight in other spots, and then one of the slots it didn't slide at all. So it's like, okay, this is getting a bit silly. So I've started again. I'm using the 1/2-inch plywood again because that worked out much better. I don't have any more of the yoke that I was using for the runner, so I've just taken something off the shelf. I think it's a piece of poplar, and we're going to go with that and see where it goes. So here we go again. got my 45-degree sled created. But wow, that was much more of an adventure. I got a sliver from my 45-degree sled after all that. That was much more of an adventure than I expected. But this is how you learn stuff, right? You try things, you fail, and you just try it again. So I think this is going to work. I did one test cut on a couple pieces of plywood, and it looks nice and straight and nice and clean. The first box I'm going to make is going to make use of this. So very shortly we're going to find out if I'll be shaking my fist in horror, shaking my fist in anger that it didn't quite work, or if it's just going to work. We'll see.